Andreas Stefanides. Andrea, I have already given you authority to share if you want your presentation, but let's first start with a short introduction about you and your organization. The floor
Thank
is
you very
yours.
much, Bobby. Thank you very much for the intro. Welcome, everyone. It's really an honor, University of Thessaly and the team of Bobby Samagis, to invite us on this online workshop. My name is Andreas Stefanides, and I represent Academy of Entrepreneurship. It's a non-profit organization founded back in 2007 from the Historical Association of Education on Crafts, IFESTOS. And we're basically, we deal with non-formal education and entrepreneurship skills on the private and the public sector. So I have a presentation. I will not go through all of it because it's quite extent, but I will just stay on the basic parts and to connect also to Beyond Zoom project and your priorities. I think you can see now the presentation, right? Or not?
Still not, but it seems make some time. Double click to enter full screen mode. You need to double, yes, now it works.
Good. So as I said, we have been founded in 2007. We are a non-profit organization by the Historical Education Association of IFESTOS. Our, mission is to promote non-formal education and research in entrepreneurship skills towards global sustainable goals. We strongly believe that it's not possible to achieve the global sustainable goals and to the human beings to stay in this planet if all of us on the private and the public sector, we do not think and act entrepreneurial. So this is the goal, to cultivate the entrepreneurial mindset in both in public and private and public sector. Civility, cooperation, and passion is part of our motto for promoting entrepreneurship skills. And during the pandemic, it was a plan that we have to start it afterwards, but we started the e-learning platform that I show in a moment, mainly in order to promote the results of our EU project. As the organization like the University of Thessaly knows, we have a lot of deliverables at the end of every European project that remains in ourselves, in our drawers, in our computers. We cannot, have the capacity to distribute and to give them back to the European societies, and in Greece especially after the 10 years of austerity measures. But now with the online tools, we can create hybrid learning experiences to support the dissemination and the use of those educational tools from the beneficiaries at European level. Until now, we completed already 40 European projects. In total, in the next 12 years, we approached more than 3,000 beneficiaries, 100 partnerships all around Europe with 50 countries, not only in Europe, but also outside of Europe, because we represent the Global Entrepreneurs Network, and 2,500 approximately hours of training, non-formal training, as I said before. This is just a small overview of our partners in Greece and outside of Greece. This is our magnificent team that we are all focused on the European projects, and we cooperate with Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs. Actually, we started with the Academy in 2012, and we collaborate with the University of Thessaly since 2017, and we are still active in the same consortium, supporting young entrepreneurs from European countries to have 1 to 6 months experience with host entrepreneurs, so to make their business plan viable and to decide if they can expand their business idea in their country or at European level, so to see the market of the 500 million citizens of Europe. So Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs, we love this program very well, and University of Thessaly was one of the pioneer intermediate organizations back in 2009. Something else that I have to tell you is that this project that I show you now on the screen started 1st of September 2022. It's a very new project, not only for Greece, but at European level. It is entrepreneurship skills training for public employees. And this is very, very crucial. And this idea came also during the pandemic, the COVID-19, because In 2019, Greece, from out of the global research, it was the most complex country on the business environment. Can you imagine the jurisdiction and the taxation and the bureaucracy of Greece make Greece to be the most complex country on the business environment? 2022, today, Greece is the sixth worst country globally on the business environment. So one important section of that, it is because the public sector, they have many deficiencies. So we said that we cannot go further if we do not help the public employees to start thinking entrepreneurial. So this is a project that started 1st of September, 23 days ago, actually, with Belgium, Italy, Greece, Cyprus, Belgium. In Greece also we have a second organization that is a cluster of private and public organizations, Slovakia and Romania. So we expect at the end of the 30 months to address entrepreneurial skills to the public sector, and let's see this experiment of 600 public employees in Europe, how it will go. We have many different projects, again, that they look forward on the skills, either on vet trainers or trainers of migrants, or even teachers on elementary schools, through lullabies and fairy tales to help the students of 6 to 9 years old to have an entrepreneurial mindset. So this is very crucial on the DNA of our organization, to make the citizens of all ages to think entrepreneurial, as I said at the beginning, having in mind the global sustainable goals. Now I close the presentations, not to be boring, and I will move you immediately on our e-learning platform. This is a tool that combines together hybrid courses. So part of the content of our project can be uploaded on the platform, but also we love to have physical training. Personally, I teach management accounting since 95 in Greece, in United States, and in Tirana as well. So I have a great experience on teaching in physical classroom, and you cannot develop the personal skills if you do not teach physically. So we win many things with online training, either synchronous or asynchronous. For example, we have now the ability on this workshop to have people all around Europe. So in a physical setting, this is not possible. However, when you are having face-to-face communication, 80% it is non-verbal communication, and that is very, very crucial to protect, let's say, the physical training. So to create blended learning experience that combine the content on an online basis and also physical training. Actually, at the beginning of Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs program, we had a big problem to solve with asking us a lot of questions, because many of the participants, Babis knows that very, very well, they never wanted to go and read the information on the portal of the European Commission. So what we did in this very innovative platform, we built a very short info course for free, of course, with only 4 sections. So if some of the participants wanted to participate in a new entrepreneur, we say go on this course, go on section 1 and 2, and you have all the details. As you can see, you can upload PDF files, it says the number of pages, you can upload guides, or you can even upload very, very easily, people that we have no experience with IT technology, YouTube videos, so you give the information straight in the eyes of the beneficiaries. And that is very, very important, because they save a lot of time. If some of them are experienced entrepreneur, they just read the host entrepreneur section and that's it. This is just a small example of how online training and hybrid training can help to move on a new era. So that was the thing that we developed the last 2 years. But the most difficult thing when you develop online training is how you design the courses and the learning activities in order to make the content engaging for the learners. Another global statistic says that only 15% of the online courses will be completed finally from the learners. And this is not a good statistics. Even big platforms, the famous one that you know, Coursera, etc., only 15% of the online courses finally will be finished from the learners. So we try now to make the learning activities engaging in order to make the learners to be on the course and also to communicate with the physical present or synchronous activities like the workshop that we have right now. I don't want to keep you more because I like to have a vivid and live discussion with your question. So I will stop share now my screen and I'm here open to your questions.
Thank you very much, Andrea. It was really very interesting, your presentation, and you provide us the framework, the new digital framework for the provision of education in terms of entrepreneurship. I guess before we start the discussion, and I will kindly ask all the participants in case they have some comments and questions to share them with us. I would like first to thank you, Professor Anna Maria Gosgaria, that joined us today for the webinar. And she has great experience in this aspect of the digitalization. And I guess I have some questions for Professor Nikos Panagiotou. If you want to share us with us also your experience from your university in Romania, it would be our pleasure to have you in our discussion, Anna Maria. So if there's somebody else that wants to start the discussion, I guess I have some questions first for Professor Nico Panagiotou. Nico, as far as I can understand, as you mentioned, it was a huge disruption of the whole education framework, particularly in your case, in the academic environment. So did you manage to provide additional tools for your students in terms of delivering your courses, your lectures? Have been your students ready to adopt these tools?
Yes. Thank you for the question. I think it is very interesting. So one of the key topics that it was a major issue even before, it was the use of online, let's say, sources. So we needed, there is a paradox, another Greek word here, okay. There is a paradox here where actually we consider that people, the younger generation, that they were born and raised actually with a mobile phone in their hands, we consider them as technological savvy, which is not. They do have a very good understanding of technological issues, how to hack, to do things, etc. Last, my son that blocked me out of having access in my home internet network. He blocked me actually. So, but what they lack, it is critical, let's say, elements of engagement. Meaning what? When I have a lot of information right in my thumbs, how do I actually make a good use of this type of information? So this is what we have worked a lot in order of what type of sources to use, which sources are credible. Thirdly, how do you actually avoid the copy and paste culture? It is ready in the internet, so I just take the grapes and I offer them to my teacher or professor. And actually, the last thing is how to avoid resharing information or mentioning something just because of the title. You know, we have this title culture that dominates a lot our societies. Put a fancy title and your message will fly over to Shanghai, to Beijing, to Washington, to Sao Paulo, and then come back to Athens. Okay, thank you.
Great. I don't know, Anna Maria, if you want to share your experience with your students, because you more or less have some relevant cases in your country.
Nice to meet you all. Thank you, Babis, for your kind words. I think we share a lot in common. We have a lot in common. Yes, it was quite a challenge, the pandemics, and in my opinion, I think we were not, and we are not still ready to deliver training. I mean, we're studying it, we're noticing, we're drawing conclusions, we're changing, we're testing, but still not still not at that point where the digital training is so we learn by doing somehow. That's my impression. And I heard a couple of very interesting things. Yes, the young generations are mobile device proficient, in my opinion, not necessarily so. They are not digitally digitally proficient. So it's not the same. They are almost all the time connected using their mobile devices. But when it comes to using a computer, for instance, and I'm not referring to technical issues, but to the way they search information, they process information, they are kind of stuck. You can't imagine the problems they have in writing an email, because you know that instant messaging and all the kind of info that they are accessed through mobile devices differs from yeah, and there are parts, or let's say parts, there are things that they never do while using their mobile devices. So yes, they watch, they read, they interact, but in that instant kind of way, yeah, using emoticons, using signs, using shortcuts, using old cuts. So it has to be anything that works fast is the best for them. But that's why, for instance, going through, having some research or reading extensively, where that's not really what they like. Luckily for us, just because we were not prepared for online training. My university, I think it was the first, maybe the only one in Romania who came back to on-site pretty well. I work with computer science, so I teach. Let's say I'm affiliated to computer science. So by default, they are very proficient in computers and right, using digital, but they needed to be on site. So everything was so strange and everything was so weird. For instance, colleagues of mine who teach more theoretical disciplines, it was a little bit more clearly easier for them. But when it comes to teaching or training people in practical things, in disciplines that have a strong practical component, it's a hell. It's almost impossible. I mean, you have to rethink everything, because it's like, yeah. Anyway, hybrid is currently, that's the good part, that we at least agreed that that hybrid is a super efficient formula that's clear. And basically, in my opinion, it's like, we have the lectures the courses themselves, where kind of 50 people or 100 people sit in a big room and they are listening to a teacher in front of them who is delivering a course, right, a lecture. And then there is the practical labs and seminars and everything, the practical activities. So lectures can be at any time and easily transformed, that they are even more attractive if they are transformed in digital format, because it allows that for, in my opinion, self-paced study is the best. I mean, they are not really, come on, we know that we have different styles of learning. Some of them are shy, some of them are not really, are afraid, for instance, to ask questions because the teacher might get upset with them. It's like standing and drawing attention on them, which they hate. But when they are in smaller groups, for instance, or they watch a lecture remotely or a presentation, or they go through some teaching, some training, some materials, resources at home, for instance, right, or using a mobile device, or if they have to work on a project, or if so, anything that can be done remotely using the digital support, that's super excellent for them. They prefer it. That's how they are. But in the end, we should remember that the digital world also brought some more distance, I think, between people. It's a kind of paradox. The digital connects people easily from everywhere and at any time, but at the same time,
they're somehow isolated.
It isolates people, and they have problems in kind of socializing, in creating real, they're not very social anyway. So that's why I think, for instance, with respect to higher education, at least, but not only, part of the training is always can always become, let's say, or be transformed into digital or digital support. And part of the training, which is interactive, which is extremely creative, which generates creativity in the end, and brainstorming, allows brainstorming, that's to be done on site. That's how I see things.
As Professor Mr. Panagiottou said, it's another paradox. Instead of connecting, isolate at the same time. Yes.
And it changed. I looked at those photos, that box chocolate box, sorry, and the dog, for instance. It takes a lot to get inside the heads of those of the audience, basically, which is new for us. That's the field of study for most of us, because they perceive things differently now.
Different perception, yes.
Different than we, let's say, we have, I think each one of us, we cannot point to or, blame anyone for anything. It's just, we are the products. Each one of us, it's a product. We were created, shaped, influenced, our minds, and that created that filter or that screen through which we see the world, through which allows interpretation of a picture, of anything. Yeah. So
As far as I can understand, all the institutions, the academic institutions, are facing the same situation. So very briefly, your comment, are your students now first familiar with the new hybrid system and they are happy with this, or they prefer still the oldest version in person, or they do prefer the online? I don't know. Still, from my feedback, what I'm receiving, it's more or less 0.5% prefer the online, and some other students prefer the in-person delivery of course. I don't know what happens in your case, Nikos and Anna Maria.
Anna Maria, please.
As I said, so the director brought everyone to classes during pandemics. It was okay, let it happen. We of course, there was those measures taken and everything. The way we kept the distance between students. It was kind of crazy. It was a very nice strategy that that we used. But everyone came back to school, and only exceptionally they are using hybrid or online, only exceptionally. If someone, for instance, and only those theoretical, the lectures, the courses themselves, I mean the big ones, kind of 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, when a teacher is in front of them and it dictates, he or she speaks and they take notes. And as I said, the interaction is very limited. Yeah, and but only those kind of activities are. Otherwise, everyone clearly was so. They were so confused about digital training with the digital and how to create, because it's the lack of experience and knowledge and expertise. We've never done it before. New teachers have to, be trained in order to create relevant and useful and successful training. Otherwise, it's a fiasco. Students will be unhappy, really. And they also told me, most of the students told me, we're so happy we're back to school. I mean, back to real school.
Real school. And in your case, Nico?
I wanted to share with everyone actually a global report that we have written about it, about the interruption about the interruption of the educational field globally during COVID-19. You can find some, it was a global, let's say, survey that we have conducted. I will share it here to everyone. This is my profile in academia where you can actually download it, but also I think that what we learned actually, and it happened from during COVID-19, I agree with Anna Maria that people wanted actually to come back to schools, etc. Our culture in general, it is a culture of we got used to in coming together and stuff, but we have to see the long term, what it left behind. And I think that what it left behind is that students and students, let's say, in all levels of education, they got used to, in a way, or they realized the benefits of distance education or hybrid kind of education and stuff. So it is very low. I will not repeat what Anna Maria said, because it happened the same as well in Greece, but I will just emphasize the following, that, after, in the beginning of quarantine, people enjoyed a lot of staying at home and in distance, etc. In Europe, I mean, not in China, because in China you were locked up. So they enjoyed staying in. It was kind of relaxing. We were getting paid without doing things and stuff. I think it was a dream of everyone, not to work and be paid. And at the end, then we got really tired of the whole situation. It created this kind of Zoom fatigue. And now we are in the position where we all wanted to go back in the classes. But I think that after 1 year, 2 years, we will balance between these new types of form of education, that it will be characterized of a mixture. And just to give you an idea, I'm a director of an English master degree program. And during COVID-19, we had a lot of requests because people realized that they could actually have a degree during COVID and without having to move, etc. And now we receive a lot of requests from people that they are asking if some of the lecture will be online, you know, because it is something that we should consider as a positive. Thank you.
Great. So for you, Andreas, I want to ask you, I'm really interested to know how your target group, because you mostly are active in terms of delivering training courses to vet professionals. So how was your experience working with them? I know for sure that we'll be more than glad to have all the courses online, but have been prepared for this transition. I mean, they prefer to be in the classes because it's more easy for them, but at the same time, they have this kind of time limitation. They cannot attend all the courses. So what was your experience this part?
First of all, thank you for the question. I have experience for both target groups because I also have two courses with a private university in Athens, and I had psychological problems personally because the students, they didn't open the cameras. So imagine me now teaching since 95 a balance sheet or income statement, and not to open the camera. For me, it was a tremendous shock. However, I have to admit that when you talk for vet trainers or beneficiaries that are adults, the fact that Nikos and Anna Maria just mentioned, it will be the new norm. That means that it's not easy now for people that they have many family priorities, professional priorities, many challenges on their life every day. Just to put them mandatory in a classroom as we used to do with the normal university students, or even earlier the high school students as well. And a part of that, I can speak for myself because during the COVID lockdowns, I took 4 courses with the Rutgers University in New York, just to learn by myself to design and teach online. And I was running to attend the online course, not only because of the content that I had to read, but I wanted to see the comments, the video comments that my other, fellow students and learners from different places of the United States, they have to put in the classroom. So that was a unique experience that I cannot even imagine without, the tools of the new technology. So you're losing the physical presence from one side, and as Nico said, now we are fatigued and we want to go back to classes. From the other side, you have learning experience from different places of the world with zero cost. If you put now the energy cost that came up after the war now with Ukraine, I think things are becoming quite difficult, and we have to learn now as teachers to design and teach hybrid courses, and to flip now the classroom, meaning that now I can upload a lot of content before the class, and when I am in class, not to lose, let's say, my precious time with the students just to convey, let's say, the theory, but to make more experiential learning, because there are 3 types of interactions. One is the learner with the content, learner with the facilitator, but the most important interaction is learner with the other learner. So we don't want to lose that, either with physical classes or online classes. The interaction of learner with learner, I think it should be on the focus of our priorities.
So in terms of numbers, did you notice any increase in terms of the participants because of the online version now?
Yes, because some of them, and they feel very pleased. They are in places on rural areas, so they couldn't be in the urban area. So now, let's say, 3 months ago, I did a pilot accounting course for small farmers all around Greece. Do you know, the ladies, after running all day, they're running to do the course, to solve the homework and everything, just for their business survival, not because they need any degree. So we have to put the priorities of the learning objectives on our courses, and to be focused either with physical or online courses, how to achieve and to assess the learning objectives on the target group every time.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you're right. I think digital, it's clearly cost efficient, especially now. It's like, yes, saving, and that was one of the good parts. For instance, many companies allowed their workers, even after the end of the pandemics, to work remotely. And some of them moved to, let's say, cheaper countries than theirs, because they were kind of, you know, the northern country. Yeah, there are cold countries, there are expensive countries. While living in recently, even for instance, Denmark or Finland and Sweden. I think Sweden is a lot cheaper than Finland, and many people living, for instance, very close to the border, Finnish citizens, they prefer to move to Sweden and work from there and just cross the border or something like that. It's like, yes, finding, reconsidering many of the old habits that we had, for instance, and acknowledging or realizing that there are other opportunities, other ways of seeing. And now, just because, I mean, one of the great, let's say, merits or benefits of the pandemics is this one, that forced everyone to rethink principles, to rethink what they were doing before. And of course, noticing that by coincidence, we had to, for instance, yes, close buildings, and all of a sudden there were zero expenses with them. But people were even happier just because they were working from home, where they could, at least for women, that works perfectly. I consider myself lucky because my program is flexible and I can work from home a lot. And for instance, and I refuse to stay in the university in the office, even if I do have my office and I could do it. But no, I prefer to be at home. And at the same time, okay, I close the door. I'm totally in what I'm doing. But at the same time, I can monitor other people around me. And from time to time, just maybe, but then that's great. Anyway, coming back to, yes, companies, clearly, many companies found alternatives to their, as long as we create. And there are lots of applications in Erasmus. At least we had a couple of workshops with the national agency. They trained us a bit on digital platforms, and I mean, they showed us lots of things that could be considered when writing applications to mark that digital part, the green stuff and everything. And yes, clearly they were not. I didn't know about them. And I found them really amazing. And as long as we allow people, some of the students, for instance, and even postgraduates, of course, many of them work. Come on, they travel sometimes, they come from a distance to attend. I mean, yeah, that's easy. Why not letting them to, let's say, taste and understand and the knowledge or some resources that are created with, of course, or using what we already have in terms of platforms and applications. Why shouldn't allow them to be happier and more comfortable and decrease costs? Because education costs is not only, it includes traveling sometimes, it includes other small maybe cost or expenditure that we often omit or disregard. Why couldn't we do that? Create or keep the digital, use the hybrid as much, or at least offer it as option. We should include hybrid in the educational offer. And of course, decrease the number of, let's say, activities that are obligatory to be carried out on site. I mean, we do that only what should be done, and it's the best to be done there because there is the equipment, there is whatever facilities. Okay. That's how I'm totally 100% open to this kind of education. Yeah, it's about being a little bit more flexible. It's about reconsidering, as you said, principles and objectives and everything. Yeah. There's a lot of research to be still ongoing and to be done here, because the pandemics passed by. Whatever, we were happy to that we it ended somehow, and we are back to our normal life. But now it's time for reflection. It's time for further testing, because it was just the beginning, and we noticed lots of whatever phenomena around. Yeah, and I'm totally for hybrid as a long-term solution, and yeah.
I could add also, Anna Maria, it's time for adjustment to this new reality.
Adjustment, yeah.
Yes. Yes, thank you so much. I don't know if I apologize for being so selfish and making all the questions. So I will ask the rest of the participants if they want to make some questions to you. I don't know. I think with us is Francesca, our partner to this project. I don't know, Francesca, if you want to ask something with the speakers.
Hello, no, thank you very much. It was a really, really interesting conversation. I really appreciate, and I want to confirm what Anna Maria said. Yeah, there are also a lot of Danish living in Sweden because of the living costs. Yeah, so I mean, the digital life gave some or helped some people absolutely to change also their lifestyles, and it had also probably an impact on the environment and the pollution and so on. Now we will see in the long term how it will continue. But thank you very much for this interesting conversation today.
Thank you, Francesca, for your comment. So I'm really happy and enthusiastic about that discussion. I think it exceeded my expectations about this webinar. Thank you so much, all of you. I know you have you are very limited in terms of time, so thank you very much for your contribution, your presence. I'm really happy, and I hope it was helpful. I would like to thank Anna Maria for sharing her experience with us. I'm eager to meet your rector. Soon I will come to your institution.
Okay.
Thank you,
Wait for you.
Professor Panagiotou, for your contribution and your excellent presentation. And Andrea, it was really a pleasure to have you together with us to provide us your input from your vet status. So thank you, all of you, for this excellent, I think, webinar. It was really, really helpful and very fruitful with a lot of input from all the aspects. And for one more time, I would like to thank you. It will be recorded, the webinar, and in case some of your students, some of your participants want to have access to the material, it will be online and will be uploaded from our institution. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Babis. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was
It was a
nice
pleasure to meet you.
meeting you all.
Have a nice afternoon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.